call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. It is the 15th of November. This is the meeting of the Tufton Budget Committee. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Public input. Not forthcoming. Review and approval of our October 25th minutes. You'll have a chance to review them. I didn't see anything that jumped out at me.
I have one small edit.
All right. What might that be?
So it's under F, I guess it's 6F. There's the 2021 salary, all of which, in the second line, executive. Yeah. Just to make sure you know I read them.
Yep. Right you are. That's your first rodeo. Anything else? I have a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve the minutes as corrected.
Second.
Second.
Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Very well, thank you. Chairman's comments. We have we've had a resignation on the committee. Penny had informed me that she was not going to be able to fulfill her term because of some family situations with her. With that in mind, as chair, I reached out to David Dauphiné, who ran as a write-in candidate last March, along with Rob. Rob got more votes as a write-in than he did, so he was not successful. He and his wife own the Tufton General Store. He said that he would be happy to fulfill Penny's position on the committee. I would then ask the selectmen to move forward to approve his nomination at their next meeting, and he was not able to be here tonight because of a previous commitment, but he said that all his Tuesdays are open from now until the end of our work. So,
Okay, just to remind you of the process, you'll need to submit a written
you'll have to write a letter.
proposal to Cammy.
Okay.
And then
He
we'll-
does, not me. He does. Correct?
No, you do.
I do. Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll vote on it on Monday.
I will do that.
I think we discussed it at the last meeting, so I don't see any issues there, but we gotta follow procedure.
Seems like the most reasonable way to do it. I mean, this is a person that vied to be here, and he just didn't get as many, but he's the next one in line, more or less, if he's interested. It
Well, he
seems-
Well, I
also
guess
said that he was probably going to, he wanted to run in March anyway.
Yeah,
I explained to him.
We can support anybody we
Yeah,
want to,
yeah,
but
yeah.
traditionally, the way it's worked is that
Exactly.
the committee has decided who they think should be on it, and we look at their recommendation and generally accept it.
Yeah.
Very well. So then we will move on with that, on that tact. So going to the meeting of the, meat of the evening, as they say. First thing up is 4550, the library. I talked to Dennis today. He's had some a family situation come up as well, that he was not sure was not going to be able to make it, and obviously he hasn't, so I can answer any questions that anybody has on the library budget as a trustee. Well, Jeff's not here. Rob, this is kind of a different one than all of our other budgets, because by state statute, a certain portion of the budget for the library every year has to come in under private donations. So it's a little convoluted when
Right.
when you're looking at the numbers.
only thing I saw, and I'm sure you will have the answer, and it's the answer I think it is, just the electric seemed to be up quite significantly.
Well, it's because electric is up quite significantly.
That's what I thought.
What we did was we took, when the new rates were, when the new rates were announced by the co-op, we took our,
Average usage,
well, we took our usage by month.
yeah.
And Marcia Hunter did calculations and came up with this number, so that's a good number, it's just.
And you might come in a little under depending on what happens.
Exactly.
Right. Yep, that's the only thing that really stuck out, but I knew the answer,
Mhm.
just confirming the obvious.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that, so the increase from 20, just so I get the historical perspective, the increase from 2020 to 2021, was that the new library? Is that the addition to the library that went into effect that increased the cost
Yeah,
of operating it? That
Yes.
was that time period, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
but of course, if you look at 2020, our numbers were down because, of course, we were closed so much, and the library was closed an awful lot of the time.
You know, yeah, sorry.
It's interesting that you'll see a note that the library gets a check from the town on a quarterly basis, and we never got a check for the last quarter, and nobody picked up on it, so. And then last year, we had done our full budget. We came in and because so much of our funding comes in out of private donations, things like that. Over a period of time, we ended up with what I, for lack of a better word, I call an income creep. And we were sitting on considerably more money than I felt, we as trustees felt comfortable. And so after our budget was presented, we came back and said we want to lower it, so that's what that $15,000. If you look under the 2022 requested line item, we'd come in at 67,175, reduced it to 52,175.
So I don't have, you know, it's kind of interesting, and I saw this particularly in the fire department. When you only see the 1 year of numbers, you don't have, on the details, so this library budget went from 52 to 66, which is a 27% increase.
No, but you got that sheet in the back of the packet. There's a 5-year history in the back of the
And I
packet.
totally
Yeah,
missed it.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I actually went through all that, I just missed the last sheet.
Yeah,
All right, I'm good then.
so you can see that
Okay.
this year we went back to what I would call a normal year because quite frankly with the rate of inflation, I don't know where we're gonna be coming in as far as donations concerned, but every year we are committed to looking at our cash flow at the end of the year to see how we're doing. And as you can see, the only things have come down over past years. We dropped the collection of government number, public programs. So, as trustees, we thought this was a fairly conservative budget.
All right. I apologize, I missed that.
Oh, no, it's fine. Any other questions I can answer for people? We have a motion?
I can make a motion to accept the library budget in the amount of $243,084.
Moved, do we have a second?
Second.
Moving in second, is there any further discussion? Forthcoming, those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to one of the big four, fire. Good evening, Alan, how are you? Good evening. Adam, why don't you give that paperwork back, hand that back to Jay, get that out of your way.
Thank you. Thank you. One of those to Chris.
Just pass it down there. There you go.
Yep. That's my first question.
Right.
This sheet that I just handed out is some bullet points in reference to full-time captain that we're looking to hire for 2023. We can go through that as you have questions, or you can read it as at your leisure as you would like as far as it goes.
Well, it's kind of hard to move forward. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure.
Do you wanna just sum up briefly?
Sure.
Just, I mean, we have this, but if you could
Yeah.
just condense that and just.
So, briefly, as far as we've gone along with the department, as things have got busier with the department, we have found that the workload is much more as far as computers, code enforcement with the fire department side. I know that we have a code enforcement officer that does all of his inspections. We have our side that we do also. While someone is out doing that different stuff as far as with the inspections. In 2021, we did 109 inspections. That takes someone away from the office as far as people coming in and looking for different information, or if they have an emergency or something along that lines. Also, as far as vehicle maintenance, as far as we continue to go along with that, and as things get more complicated as far as vehicles and what needs to be kept track of on the different vehicles and updated, and going along with the different things, we find that day to day, between myself and the current captain, it gets tougher to keep up with everything with that goes. As far as with today's atmosphere, when you're going out, people are expecting more and more as far as, and it's taking longer on scenes as far as dealing with people because their items are more complicated as far as medical issues and things like that. Or they might not be wanting to go to the hospital, and it's something that you can take care of there on the scenes with our further training that a lot of our people have. Especially the captain that we're looking to hire, as far as that position, would be at least an EMTA, which you can do IVs and medicate certain amount of medications and things like that. That would allow me, if I'm in the office, for the two captains to go out and do medical stuff, and I continue with different stuff with the office or people coming in, and they're handling, day-to-day operations. As we continue with that, with day-to-day operations, there is far more computer stuff that needs to be done as far as keeping up with the programs that, the new programs that the state is requiring, whether it's medical, fire, or even the whole fire permit process. That has got much more complicated, and it's something that we need to keep up with as we go along.
Our calls, the service, as far as day-to-day calls, have, they're staying about the same as last year right now. We're a little bit behind as far as fire-wise, and that can be one of two things. Either, there was more people doing different things during COVID, as far as, they were home to start fires and do different things. And then the other thing is that depending on weather and day-to-day things is whether or not that we're going to be that much busier or not. During this last few days before we got this cold snap, things were very dry. Fires were moving very quickly as far as it goes. We had a half-acre fire at the Tuckahoe Four Corners at 147. It was started by a down power line. We happened to have one of our call captains in-house for a couple hours that day, and it made out, a lot better as far as having personnel to fight the initial fires and stuff like that. We try to do what's called 2 in and 2 out with building fires. You've got 2 people outside, you've got 2 people inside with the situation. That way, if something goes wrong, there's at least 2 people on the outside that can assist with that. In a smaller department, it's really tough to do so, because obviously there's 2 of us that are full-time, and currently we haven't hired anyone in the town of Tuckahoe full-time with the fire department since 2006. So as things have progressed and things have doubled basically as far as getting busy, we haven't kept up with the times with that, or we've tried to keep up as best as we can with that and keep the personnel down low as far as it goes. Currently in the department we have 22 members that are active. We have 4 members that are on either injured or inactive or not in good standings with the department. Of those, 8 are firefighter 1 certified, 7 are firefighter 2 certified, 2 are not certified, they're fairly new members, and 5 are firefighter 3 certified. 16 are EMS certified as far as department wise, 16 of the 22. So they're cross-certified. 1 is an EMR, which is 1 step below EMTs. We have 8 that are EMTs, 4 that are EMTAs, and 3 that are paramedics in the department.
What would be your most comfortable level for staffing?
As far as staffing,
In a perfect world.
it all depends. A 24/7 staffing is 8 people. With Wakefield Fire, they went 24/7. They have 8 people as far as firefighters, EMTAs. They run 3 ambulances.
Mm-hmm.
1 is staffed, obviously 24 hours a day, and they depend on the call people to come back in for the other 2. But they're very busy. They're probably on tap to do 1,500 calls, and a lot of them are medical calls, but they have everything in between.
So because we're essentially still a volunteer fire department, do you try and schedule a certain number of people? Say, okay, we know that you're gonna be in town for this period, another group for this period, so on and so forth, or is it just?
So on the weekends, we keep a fire officer in town. There's 6 fire officers, and then there's Skip Galvin, that is a retired firefighter paramedic from Exeter. He's essentially a 7th officer, but right now, in his retired status, he can't change anything because it would change the hours that he could work as far as retired wise. So he's not jeopardizing that as far as it goes. So those, including myself and Captain Pike, those 7 people, individuals, take a weekend, go down through, starts with me, and say that they're gonna be in town for that weekend.
Okay.
And
How
they
about-
don't get
How
paid.
about the rest of your call firefighters?
We have tried as far as to do like night shifts and stuff like that. But with today's day and age, as far as with families, with, working more than one job, or as far as their schedule, we have several that, or we have at least 3 that are firefighters at another place full-time. So they could go into work as at their position, and they're held over sometimes for mandatory overtime, and cannot come back for whatever period of time. We sometimes luck out when they're on their shift as far as 4 days off, if that's what they're running. Then we might have them in town, but there are some times that they're, they have to they may do like 19 runs in a day as far as fires and stuff like that. So they do have to sleep at some point in time. So that first day that they come back off their shift, they may not come out to anything as far as it goes.
I just have a quick question.
Sure.
And you might not know this, and that's okay. So when you said overnight, what percentage of your calls involve somebody if they're there in the overnight shift? And I mean, when I say overnight, I'm going to say, for example, like a 12 to 6.
Yeah.
12 to 6. What percentage of your overall calls are at that particular point in time? Or just a general percentage in a 12-month period?
I can't tell you 100% as far as we were looking at going to have that information for you, but we have a new program that was instituted this year, and it's in the process as far as moving everything over. However, when we say overnight, we're looking from the time that someone leaves at 5 o'clock, if the full-time people are done at 5 o'clock, until the next morning when there is someone there at 7 a.m.
Yeah,
But a good portion of those do come during the night hours as far as.
But you're saying night hours, it could be from 5 to 9 at night, not necessarily 12 midnight to 6
Correct.
a.m. So when you say an overnight shift, you're basing it off a totally different, like you're basing it off a 5 afternoon shift to a 9 o'clock in the morning shift.
Probably usually like 7 or 8 o'clock.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I'm just saying is, when you say night shift, traditionally it's 7 to 3, 3 to 11, 11 to 7. You're doing a 5 p.m., which is really truly an afternoon shift. So I was just wondering what, for coverage reasons, what the call volume would be in the true wee hours of the day, as opposed to having coverage from 5 p.m. to say 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Which would be a reasonable time. So I was just trying to figure out what percentage of calls
Sure.
might be the 5 to 10, but then how many of those calls, or what percentage of calls would be from 10 to say 6 in the morning,
Okay.
or something like that. I would be curious to know what that number would be, percentage-wise, and just a general idea.
And we can get that.
Yeah, like I
information.
said, that's just a general question that, because you're talking overnight, but what is overnight?
Right.
It's different for, obviously in your case, you're telling me it's 5 in the afternoon.
Right.
I was going with, 11 to 7.
Right.
So.
And in most cases, that is night shifts
Yeah.
as far as with
Okay.
people.
Nope, you cleared that up, so that's fine, thank you.
But, so we're finding as we go along, we had one person that was really dedicated, and that may hurt you on the other end. If he was available at night, he'd come out on every call, as far as it goes, one of our officers. Well, he now drives a school bus. So that has really cut his his time as far as what he's shown up. But you never know, that I have to budget for seeing him come out, as far as calls, cause he still does come out. In between bus runs and stuff like that, he has come out for runs and things like that. We're looking for this person to, in the daytime, to take up, some of the extra work as far as it goes. Also to have that extra person, depending on how they work their schedules as far as overlapping. The firefighter, the paramedic that's currently doing the 2 days is looking to, he's a retired firefighter, obviously, and at some point in time, he's looking to completely retire. So we have to take that into account down the road. After I had turned everything in as far as budget-wise, because obviously we're doing this and, start thinking about it in August. Last week he had told me that he's looking at dropping down a day, possibly next year as far as it goes, because, to work towards retirement as far as it goes. So that would be, that full-time captain would be taking up some of that time as far as it goes.
Now, the reason I started the whole conversation was I was just curious to know how, in this day and age, you can staff and you can be reasonably sure that if you have a major fire,
Yeah.
how many people are gonna be there other than you, Caleb, and maybe some of your senior
Well, during the
department.
in any department, not just us, you can't guarantee how many people are going to be there. Whether it's Wakefield that has 8 full-time guys, that 2 work during the their 24-hour shifts as far as it goes. They could be tied up on an ambulance run and out of town. And the same with us if we have people with whatever as far as it goes. But we have 3 people that are been with the department greater than 35 years, 3 that have been with the department for 20 years, 4 for 15, and 5 for 10 years, and the remaining are an average of 10 to 1.8 years as far as it goes. So our department is aging. So as we go along, we're also looking at this position to be training the people that are coming in and get them ready to take over the department as we go along.
This is a question actually for you and Chip. I'm looking at the officer salary. You had come in with one number, and the selectman's number was considerably less.
$17,000 less.
Yeah. Chip had said that I did not cut $22,000 from the budget as far as, Selectman Albee.
It's okay. We're all friends.
He said
You're
that I
evidence,
didn't
will
cut $22,000 from the budget for the current captain if he was the one to get that position. I had cut the money from that already, so that means that that officer section is down by $17,000, and then the station shift coverage under firefighter paramedic,
That was the other one, yeah.
I had gone up 25, from 20 to 25 hours with that, but that's where the other 5,000 was cut from.
Just a side note, you on page 1 here, you put what the salaries and everything. Overall, does everybody just work as far as the salaried people, I'm talking about, it's you and captain full-time 1, and then the captain full-time 2. It says 40 hours. Is everybody basically at 40 hours on those
Yes.
3?
Everyone's
So-
40 hours.
So nobody works over, not
Yes,
salary?
no. Why it says salary because that's what it says.
Yeah.
And then I'm the only one that is salaried. Is same as the police chief, he's salaried. But as far as Captain Pike, he gets overtime. And that's why that I have the 100 hours in there as far as training, overtime and calls, and then as far as the 90 on the other side.
And that's fine, but this illustrates what I was talking to you about earlier. Okay, on the line, Captain Full-Time 1, you have 40 hours, $34.82 times 52 weeks. That means every workday of 52 weeks is compensated, every single one, which is fine. But you've added here 12 holidays, so now you have 53 and a half weeks of pay.
But they're not salary,
It doesn't matter.
they're hourly people.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
You still have to pay them overtime.
We can pay them overtime. We're not gonna pay them, and this is a discussion for another
And it's
day.
your policy, not mine.
I appreciate that. But you got 10 hours a day for holidays, you got 8 hours a day for regular work time. Another discrepancy we gotta talk about. So that's the reason.
No. 8 hours a day is for myself. I work 8 hours
No,
a
you
day.
have 40
They work 10 hours a day.
You have 40, you only work 4 10-hour days?
Yes,
Okay.
and that's what it says. If you look at it closely, that's what it says.
It says 40 times 34 times 52 weeks. Doesn't say 10-hour days.
Up here in the,
8-hour days times 12 is your time.
mm-hmm,
And now you're saying I should go to the holiday reimbursement to get my 10-hour
yes.
days. Okay. So in addition to that work, we're paying an additional $9,923.70 for training, overtime, and calls. Is that right?
If they work those trainings, overtimes and calls. It's not something that's guaranteed.
Okay, so that's not included in their 40-hour.
That is not.
Okay. I wouldn't imagine the calls would be anyway,
Mhm.
but,
It definitely sounds like double count to me, because you've got paying somebody for 52, they're not 54 weeks in the year,
no,
there's only 52 weeks in the year.
right.
So you can't be paying them for the full 52 weeks, and then paying them for another 12 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the issue, Adam. It's not, not.
My issue is, the town of Tuftonboro has a policy for the fire and police department. I didn't make the policy,
Right.
the selectmen made the policy. That policy says that anyone that's part of the fire department or police department that is full-time will get 12 holidays paid. We don't, if for some reason I wasn't scheduled to work for the Friday that was a holiday, so like Captain Pike doesn't work Fridays, he doesn't get the holidays. If we end up working for that, for the hours that we didn't work, so if we worked 4 hours, we use 4 hours of our vacation time to make up for that holiday pay.
Do I,
And I don't wanna, I'm sorry, Chris.
I just, you can,
We're not changing the policy this year. I just know, I just am forewarning you that this discussion is
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Oh yeah, and I fully expect that as far as it goes. Why it hasn't
Happened before,
happened before,
we don't know.
okay.
Sorry.
But, again, I am going by the policy. We are going by the policy to the T, as far as we're not trying to take extra time, we're not taking extra time with that, we're using our vacation time. I'm given 5 weeks a year as far as vacation time. We're doing everything that
We're
we're
gonna
supposed
give
to.
you ample opportunity to defend. I don't think you're ripping the town off if that's the tenet
Well,
that we're going.
that's what it sure seems like.
No, it's
No,
just we're
Adam, for
bringing.
me, it's just purely an understanding.
Mhm.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out the math here, didn't just,
Right.
I'm having a hard time getting my.
And I'm trying to
This-
defend the math.
This has
so-
been, and I understand it, I accept that 100%. But for 22 years, it's been done whatever way. And, if there's an issue with it,
Then we'll
then
have,
someone should have,
well, no, then
said,
we'll have a
"Hey."
discussion. I mean, things change,
Mhm.
or things don't change, but we're gonna have a discussion about it.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Chris, I interrupted you.
and I,
That's okay, I'm not
I
gonna.
have a couple of questions.
Sure.
And I'm the new guy in the block here, so I'm gonna ask you
Yeah.
to be patient with me a little bit.
no problem. And I apologize if I'm kind of passionate about the department wise as far as wise, because it's not just affecting me, it's affecting whoever. It'll affect new people, it'll affect, people that are currently there, but we didn't write the policy,
But you
you
should,
know?
and you should be passionate about your department.
And we appreciate the
That's
passion.
appreciated, yeah. So oh, thank you.
Wait,
I'm
right
in,
there. Upper left-hand corner, what page? I wanna get on the same page. I just wanna know what page you're on here.
yeah, page 1.
One, okay.
Sorry. So, is this Captain Full-Time 2? Is that the person that you're thinking about hiring?
That's the person that we're looking at hiring.
Okay,
Obviously, we need to, if that is something that is decided,
Mhm.
as far as town-wise, we know that it has to go out to whoever. And it has to go out within the department. as far as it goes. We're looking for a position, we're not looking for a certain person right now.
okay. And how long is that process?
It can take months as far as that goes. Or if it's something that's simple, if you're hiring within, then
I guess I'm
then it
just,
could be, like a week.
I just wanna know how likely is this person's gonna be on staff by 1/1?
Right.
Well, they're not gonna be on staff by 1/1 because the budget
Budget.
has to be
Pass.
approved.
But
At town meeting.
here's our issue, which no one's looking at, is that we still have to pay the captain that we have for at least 3 months, if not more. And you cut the $22,000 to pay him out.
There's more than enough money in your budget to pay the captain until town meeting.
But not if we cut the full-time position out. There won't be, I would need to give you a new budget. And I'm prepared to do that if that is the case, that we go into that.
I just think the budget should, if this person's not gonna be on staff 1/1, we should probably take an estimate of when they're gonna be on staff. And this is a big number, so it's not a small number,
Right.
it's a big number. Would be
Yeah,
something that-
oh, I understand that 100%.
On the hourly rates, on these rates here, is there anything that's changed other than COLA in here? So has there been any?
No.
This is all just COLA into here, okay. Not that I
Yeah.
want to step
We,
on.
for several years in a row, myself and the captain did not take any steps or anything along that lines as far as the two of us that are full-time. And we continue to follow that as far as it goes.
And then, when we hire this, when and if we hire this new person, this new full-time person,
Mhm.
does it alleviate any of the more temporary people? Does it reduce their hours?
You still have call people.
But that number is up, you're actually adding more to that when I looked at
Yeah.
that was up from, if the new captain is gonna absorb some of this,
One thing that
overflow.
you gotta remember is that we're doing a minimum of 2 hours per call. So it's not just an hour that they come out. It's not worth for the people to come out an hour, when it costs them that much money to drive to the fire station, get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and, you're there for whatever time period.
But they do.
They might get $15 or whatever it is.
Right,
They do it because they want to do it,
yeah.
as far as it goes.
But that's
Otherwise, they
happening
wouldn't
now,
come out.
right? That's happening now, so I guess
It's
the question I'm trying to just, it's a fiduciary issue. Trust me, I'm
Yep.
all in favor of having a very, very safe Tufton Borough Fire Department. I live
Sure.
there, my family lives here. I'm not trying to screw with what you have. I'm just trying to understand it, so we
Yes.
get to the right place.
But it was something that was instituted like halfway through the year, so I don't know how it's going to play out for a full year yet.
Yeah. So to me, when I look at, I'm just gonna be totally candid with that. When I look at the budget, and I know it gets a little better because we're hiring somebody, we're hiring an additional person. But when I look if I go from where you were in 2020, you're at 432,000. And today, you were asking for 647, and with the selectmen adjustment at 625. But that is, you know, a 50% increase over 3 years. So I guess where I'm going is, we need to understand what's sustainable on these increases, because I don't know, you know, I'm new to this, so I'm just saying, that seems a really rapid growth rate to me in expenses, and so I think to the extent we can somehow put some statistics around it that are more solid.
Sure. I don't know if it's a rapid growth rate. Unfortunately, it's a shock that when you sit back and you try to handle everything, for the first time in 20 years, there was one call that we did not cover as far as department-wise. Fortunately, Stewart's Ambulance comes in, they do our transports most of the time, they covered the call. But it was the first time in 20 years that we didn't actually have someone, or actually 22 years, that we didn't actually have someone from Tuftonboro out there on the particular calls. And I hate to say it, but with the new people that are coming in on the ambulances all the time, people are used to our personnel from town, in most cases, familiar face or something like that. We have Knox boxes and stuff that are on the different buildings that we only have access to. The ambulances do not have that. The police department does have access to that. But in particular cases, you end up needing more personnel than just that two that are coming in with the Stewart's Ambulance as far as it goes. And unfortunately, as far as money-wise, when you're talking about full-time personnel and things like that, it gets expensive really quick. That's why that we have Stewart's Ambulance that does our transport, because there's two people that are coming in medically wise that we don't have to pay for their medical, anything to do with them, their vehicle that they come in. So basically, to me, we're getting that two people for a very cheap amount, even though that it is fairly expensive. But when you look at trying to do your own full-time personnel, it gets expensive really quick.
So, you know what would be really helpful to me, I don't know if anybody else in this committee feels the same way about it, but there's so many moving parts, all of which is in your head to a large degree on all this. You know everybody, you know every single person, you know every single call that's going out there, and people coming, people leaving. It would be good if you took this budget and saw how many man hours you're actually going to have this year compared to last year.
Case in point, what I was trying to get at was, the reason why I asked you about the actual overnight and the staffing, there was a method behind my madness. It was kind of to the same, it's very similar to what you're asking, because this is such a large budget, and it's not, we're trying to figure out the schematics of it all, but there could be a need for a reconfiguration, and why I said that is just because I asked you about the overnight, and you defined that for me. You defined it, you look at it differently than somebody else would.
Correct.
And that's why I'm saying the percentage of calls that are actually at those specific times, because that's not when the personnel is really needed. It appears, from what you said, the personnel is needed is at a different time of day.
Right.
So it's similar to what you're asking.
Yeah.
It's a very similar situation. So, like I said, I don't know, Rob, you've got some really very, very, very good questions. I have questions too, and maybe doing something like that would be,
I think just trying to understand where the man hours are going in the department,
how
and
many-
seeing where you
how does it
were.
vote? All three approve this?
I'm sorry?
When you guys wanted, remember I asked you, when you guys voted on this, was it a three?
It was three.
Was it three?
It was three.
If you don't mind. Asking the other two.
It was
over here.
2-1.
It was
2-1.
2-1?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
A small question, so when you pay overtime,
Yeah.
it's time and a half, is that the
Yes.
idea? This just isn't representing what you're saying. There's this chart here. Captain, full-time, 40 hours, times $34.82 an hour for 52 weeks, okay? Now, in my mind, 40 times 52 probably represents something about 2,000 man-hours or something.
28.
Okay. There is no other time available in a week for a person to work holiday time. So, if a person is working any portion of those hours as holiday, he gets 1/2 more of his hourly rate. I calculate it to be $2,089, not $5,223. I just don't understand where the issue is here. See, in other words, if you had come to us and said that the 40 hours times 52 weeks, if you had like 2 weeks of holiday pay in there and you calculated 40 hours times $34.82 times 50 weeks, then I could say to you, okay, fine, now there's another 2 weeks that's gonna be at full pay plus 1/2. And that's what's not popping up here. I think you're double counting a little bit
You know,
on the
I think, so I'm gonna retract on myself for a second here.
Yeah.
And I think what he's saying is that they work the 52 hours, they don't take.
Is that what?
They work the full 52 hours, the 52 weeks.
Yes, I agree with that.
They work the full 52 weeks.
Yeah.
It gets to the end of the year,
Yeah,
and they haven't taken their 12 holidays,
yeah.
they get paid for them. That's how,
So
That's
it's
how
really,
the policy
so
is.
it's really
that's the
not,
math.
That's the policy that Adam's defending.
Yeah.
And that's the
okay,
policy
so,
that stands.
so it's
Yeah.
not holiday within the envelope of available time. It's holiday pay for holidays that are not taken.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, now
So
that's
that's,
clear.
yeah, so now I get it.
And just so
Thank
we
you.
don't sandbag Adam, because I don't think it's right to
Yeah.
do that.
It-
The next budget that's gonna come up next week, or whenever the next time we meet,
Yeah,
is personnel administration. The $95,000 increase in that budget.
right,
All but 16,000 of that is Adams asked for a new captain or a second captain,
right,
and the transfer station adding an employee.
okay.
So, $80,000 of benefits
Yeah.
needs to be thought of, and I don't wanna
Yeah,
have Adam have to come in here and defend this
okay.
process
But
again.
again, if I just might,
Yeah, sure.
so we're gonna pay someone for the hours that they didn't take as holiday pay. But why are you giving them their base pay plus the holiday premium? Wouldn't you just be giving them the premium? You follow me?
Again, I'm following the
Well, no,
policy
I
that
think
the
I think I'm
town.
saying the policy more accurately than it's being practiced, that's what I'm.
Well, we need to review it, I'm
Right.
just I'm setting Adam up for the review.
Okay, yeah, I hear you,
don't
I
think
hear
we're gonna
you.
review it on
But
this
you're
year's
hearing what
budget.
I'm saying here. Yeah, I understand the theory. A person works all this time during the year and he doesn't take any holiday. And so then you come along and you reimburse him for the holidays that he didn't take, that's the policy, okay? But I don't think it would be at the base pay plus the premium. It should be just at the premium. That's what you really reimburse him. That's what he forgo by not working those holidays.
So-
He's entitled to those full days off and getting paid.
But he's getting that as far as in his base 40 hours.
No, but he's working, so, think about it, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm
No,
trying.
I'm on Adam's, he's working, they are working when everybody else is eating turkey,
Yeah,
right? So they should get paid for those hours that they were actually working.
right.
They're also entitled to 12 days unpaid. So that's another day that he's entitled to get, and if he doesn't take it by the end of the year, they can get paid off for it. That's the.
That's the current policy.
And I actually think that's, the way to deal with this really is to say you can't carry over more than 7 days or 5 days.
Well, we did
Well,
that.
It's
We did that with
12
vacation.
days as far as it goes. It's not something that we carry over.
Yeah.
It's gone at the
But you
end
should
of
be
the
able to
year.
use it, but don't we get paid off for it though? That's why it's
You,
gone.
yeah, you
Getting
get
cashed
you
off.
get paid either if you worked that, whatever amount of days, whether it was 8 days or whatever amount of days, or it was 12 days, you get paid for that. If you didn't, you ended up taking the time off, then that's something totally different.
Yeah,
We don't put in for the holiday in that particular case.
And that makes sense. So I think going back on this, and I don't know where anybody else is on this, but I would like to see an hours that you have to your availability from 2020, 21, 22, 23 plan, and see what they look like. Because I think ultimately there's so many moving parts and so many hours and so many numbers, and you're adding 2,000 hours at least
Right.
to your thing, but we're not taking money off of any of the temporary people. So, and you may come back and say, well, it has increased by 25%, but I need it for these reasons, but I think we should all understand that.
Well, the other thing is, obviously the 7.4% is a huge number.
No, but that's
Yeah.
not.
As far as,
That's
with
off the
that.
table, that's off the
That's not
table, this is
even
just
part of what
hours,
we're asking.
this is
Right.
just hours worked, regardless of what
Yeah.
pay
Yeah,
is.
But just echoing a little bit on what Adam was saying, I was intrigued by one page in here, geez, I hope I can find it again, where you have the differences from year to year.
it would be page 5,
Yes.
and actually,
Okay, here it is. So, if there's a reason for the selectmen to look at policy, I think that the strong indicator for a reason to do that is if you look at these difference columns, and let's just go to the line for holiday pay. The difference between 2020 and 21 was $246. And then between 21 and 22, it jumped up to $347. And then all of a sudden, here we are, 22 to 23, that's $4,600.
and that includes three
No, I know, I'm just saying, I'm just pointing out,
people.
yeah, I'm just pointing out the fact that our job in doing these budgets at this level is to just provide some oversight.
Mhm.
And there are certain things that pop up that say, oh, we should look at this more closely, and that's all I'm saying there. And if you go down this list, shift coverage, it's the same thing. We were previously in a $1,000 range, and all of a sudden we're up to $9,700. There's only 2 instances here where I see that it's gone down. The boat expense went from, pardon me, I'm sorry, the training went from minus 1,700 in the last 2 budget years and up to 3,700. No, that didn't go down, did it? No, it went up. So you see what I'm trying to say here is that the trend on these differences between the budgets from each year is going up geometrically.
Well, we changed on the shift number, that. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
Adam
that's an
explained that
explanation.
We're not
Right,
paying you for the half hour you came out because people won't come on for a half hour.
right.
So I actually think when you look at this, again, I'm just gonna say, if you go to the total numbers here,
Mm-hmm.
and of this 100 that he's asking for, of the 120,000 he's asking for, 100,000 of that is for compensation.
Yeah.
So
Yep,
the
that's
20,
right.
the 27,000 on the rest
Yeah,
is not, I mean, you can, it's, I
Right,
think
yeah.
that's,
and
yeah.
Most of our budgets are compensated.
just so that we're
But
clear
that
on
increase
that,
is
just so that we're clear on the officer's salary line,
Yes.
I mean, using your numbers, I'm coming up with a need of $188,953.
Okay.
So I don't think we hurt you. You came in with 215,
Right.
and I'm not certain we damaged you at all by coming back at 198.
No,
I mean, if
what
you
I'm
think-
saying, what I'm saying is that if there isn't a full-time, person that's involved in it, then the whole budget needs to change. If we're going with 3 call captains, then there's a total different budget figure with.
But that's
with
not
that.
what we're saying.
Okay.
That's not what
Yeah.
we're saying.
Yeah.
What we're saying is their manpower, man-hours. That's not what we're saying. That's a completely different thing, what you just
Yeah.
said and what he's asking for, and I think it's a
But-
reasonable
No, the
expectation.
number I'm working on is 2 full-time captains,
Right.
and that comes up to 188,000 using your numbers. So I'm sure there's something I'm missing, but we're at 198. You were originally at 215. I mean, I don't think we hurt you there, I really don't, given the figures that you gave us tonight.
Yep.
And to your point, if we're not starting on January first, that's money unspent.
Yeah.
I'm not certain, or we could do the math on what starting 3 months out means.
But there's no guarantee of that either. I mean,
Because I don't know,
Right.
you know, which way things will be going as far as it goes. If you're hiring someone that's in-house, they've already got the gear, they've already familiar with the department, and in a lot of cases, if they have all the qualifications, there's no further training that you have to do with that. You hire someone that is out of town, out of house, 2 sets of gear, I didn't budget for it. You have, further training before basically they're gonna be cut loose as far as town-wise. And, a lot of different things that are not taken into account because we started this back in whatever period of time. And then as we brought it before the selectmen and stuff, there was some things that came out of,
I mean,
this, and this as far as personnel. Obviously, it needs to go out to the general public and other people.
just the back of the cocktail napkin calculation, it looks like $7,000 a month. But you have to allocate that through between the salary and benefits. But you're talking $21,000 off of, if you hired the guy in March, or
Right.
April 1, I'm sorry.
And it was asked of me as far as which insurance policy, as far as whether it was a single policy or a family policy. Obviously, I had to say family-wise, because you don't know who the candidate is. So that is a huge,
Yeah, well, you got a lot of,
And-
you got a lot of estimates flying around
Yeah.
here, there's gonna be pluses and minuses. I think the biggest issue to really go after is this man-hour issue, and just being able to, because I think you're gonna wanna be able to explain that concisely as to why you need this hire, to me, that, what's happened with man-hours. And I would have hoped that some of these temporary or less permanent people hours would have declined.
well, you're always
As a
gonna
result of that.
have your part-time people, because if you stop them from coming out, they're not gonna come out on every call, they're not doing that now. But if you stop them from coming out on calls that they can be used on as far as it goes, you're not gonna have them.
Well, that's,
You're gonna- you're
that's
gonna
not
lose
what he's
them.
saying, he's just saying about how the man hours and how
Right.
it's being allocated.
Yep.
Can I ask a good question as a movie? So what happens here, if he goes back and redoes his budget, just say it changed, I'm not saying it's gonna change, just say it does change. Does this number over here, the 215 that he submitted, is that, sorry, whatever the total number is, the 647, does that change, or does it, how does this work?
I've got 625.
640, you got 625, that's a selectman's request.
Which is
That's
what
what
we
you're
do.
voting on.
That's
You're
what I'm voting on.
his,
Yeah, you're voting on
Right.
theirs.
you're voting on ours.
But if one
If if Adam goes back and, I don't know why he changed his budget, but let's say he changes his budget for whatever reason, obviously that never changes. Well, no, then he has to bring it to us, we vote on his new
Yeah.
number, and then we bring it to you.
yeah, so that's not an unwieldy process, if that's, to get to an answer that's correct.
Right.
As long as the question's clear, I think the answer's probably not hard to come by.
Okay.
But yeah, just for going forward,
So,
you're voting
I
on the
gather we
selectmen's
don't-
budget.
Are not gonna deal with this this evening?
I think it looks like it might be tabled.
No, it's up to you guys. I
I
mean,
think we need
the
to vote.
selectmen have voted on the budget, if you want a recreation for some purpose, then we'll have to vote again.
I just think we've come to a place where we're hiring somebody new, it's gonna adding 2,000 hours. We're seeing an increase in the non-permanent employee force that's coming in as well. So there's a huge hour growth within the department. The thing is, the budget's grown by 50% over the last 3 years. I think we should take a look at it. And if Adam comes back and says, this is what's happened, this is why we need it, that's it. If he comes back and says, you know what, maybe we're better this year to go a little lighter, that'll also be a good thing too, if everybody thinks about it. And, because at the end of the day, the town's gonna speak, right?
How long do you think it would take you to do this?
It all depends on how much assistance that I have as far as, obviously it's going back into, either, if we can't do it by computer, you've gotta go through it, you know, sheet by sheet.
Oh,
Of
I'm
the
thinking about
records that
something
we
really
have.
simple.
There's nothing, I can tell you, there's nothing simple about the fire department as far as when it comes to the hour,
Can I,
keeping track of
can
that.
I don't wanna leave the subject this evening without knowing
yeah,
exactly.
can I
what people are
suggest that
looking
what I'm thinking about is that you take what's in the budget here. Do you have this sheet for the last 3 years, or 4 years, this sheet?
That sheet, I have the budget for the last 22 years.
Okay, so do you have these kind of sheets for the last
Yes.
3? Okay, just, these have the hours basically that you're,
But those are not the hours that are, that's not guaranteed for anyone.
But you have
They-
your actual hours, you have the actual hours, man hours that are paid on a payroll period, right?
You know, yes,
You
yes,
have that, and that could be provided by the town,
Yeah.
because you have that.
yes,
So you have those man hours
Right.
that are paid on a pay
Payroll.
period labor.
yes.
And you can use those man hours to do the calculations that you're asking for.
Yeah.
okay.
So, but as far as this sheet here,
That-
the page 1, 2, and 3,
No,
that
that's,
is not a guaranteed
Yeah, no, I understand.
amount of
It's
money
just
that
the
goes
budget.
to the people.
Yeah,
wants to know what has been from the past 3 years, and you can calculate that based off of payroll records, and then you can look at your schedule,
Sure.
and you can see.
yeah,
That's what, I think that's what you're
yeah,
asking for.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for the help.
Is there anything besides the man hours as far as the salary part of the budget that you have questions while I'm here that I can answer?
And the reason for the increase in the, and it just goes along with the increase in the part-timers. You're right, you gotta have part-timers, but he's just trying to, you know, calculate how that overall goes. So when you do the salary, make sure you include the part-timers as well. So you want your overall man hours.
Sure.
Yes.
I'm good otherwise, thank you.
Alright. So, can you do this this evening?
Thank you,
I
thank you
just-
for being patient with
No,
us.
no, thank you, as far as taking the time. I think that obviously this year is, you know, people are taking the time to look at that. I appreciate that as far as it goes. If people don't ask the questions, then how do you know how things need to change as far as?
And I'm gonna need a motion to table this.
I'm good to table it.
Second,
Moving second, those in favor, aye?
aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
So I was scheduled for emergency management also. Is
We're
that
gonna move
something-
right into that next.
All right.
Keep going.
I see that, we're gonna be putting in a generator. We want to put in a
We,
generator.
we would like to put in the generator as
Up
far
in
as,
Melbourne?
at the Melbourne station.
Okay.
We're, in the long run, we're gonna try to do a generator that, you know, obviously, the whole process in the past was that each town building that had you know, reason as far as that goes, as far as the use, that we have an automatic generator at those.
I understand that.
We're left with 2 buildings, Melbourne and Mirror Lake, that don't have it.
Okay, my question is, I gather it's gonna be going on as a warrant article,
Yes.
Right.
okay, that, the price of 16 and a quarter, is that a quote that you've gotten on that?
The 922 was a quote that I had got, and obviously we end up getting, we end up needing 3 quotes as far as it goes. I don't have those 3 quotes, and the 3200 is my understanding, that the 3200 might be a little bit low. As far as for the propane tank and, all of that stuff. I had problems getting the quote back or a quote back. We obviously switch companies as far as town-wise, they shop around for that. I had asked the new company and they were having problems as far as tank-wise of wanting to give me a quote for a 500-gallon tank. Because they said that, you know, they weren't accessible, you know, at the point in time.
Your 500-gallon tank for.
I don't think that we need a 500-gallon tank for a
That's-
13 kW generator.
Not hard.
They were saying that they could go, you know, lower as far as wise. That's why I was hoping that the, you know, the 3200 would be, you know, within reason. Cause, we don't have that far that we have to go with the piping and stuff like that behind the Melvin station. It's all within, you know, whatever amount of feet.
Does that generator quote include the transfer switch?
Yes. Yes.
I think it's
That
like,
included the switch and the wiring.
yeah, but I think a 500-gallon tank would be helpful to have. You know, it affects how you purchase it. Remember, you're only getting 80% of that,
Right.
you know, so.
The company, obviously the propane company, they go through and they go and they do, I think he did say that we could go down to a 325.
Wow. I have that in my house.
Right.
You got a 500 gallon on the ground. I'm just looking at that price for the, are they saying that we have to buy the tank?
As far as tank wise?
Yeah.
Yeah, the propane company, I asked them for a price as far as purchasing that.
To buy the tank?
Yes.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think that, you would be renting a tank.
Yeah,
You know,
but it's
not-
very minimal. I just don't know what the
Yeah.
town
And how
council.
big a generator you talking?
13 kW.
13? We just put a 2400.
For the library.
Okay, the library. So I was just curious to know.
And
And you're sure that included the switch, huh?
yeah, I'll double check. Oh, well, actually. Install 13 kW Generac, install cement pad, add automatic transfer switch, complete all wiring necessary to complete the job. Few work done by another, not including this price. $9,200.
Yeah. That's a very good price.
And obviously, I'm sure that in any case, a lot of places don't wanna keep a quote out for whatever period of time. I don't know how long that, it doesn't say how long it's actually good for as far as it goes. But a lot of places are like 30 days now. So, So the emergency management budget, obviously with that taken out, went from 32,110 to 19,710.
So it's actually down over last year.
We were able to, actually, Captain Morgan was able to secure a $32,000 grant, or almost $32,000, it was 31 and change, it was called a, I think it's a 90-10 grant. So we pay 10%, they pay 90%, for the trailers that you may have seen at the fire station for the picnic or the flu shots and things like that. We were able to cut that out of the CIP for 2023, so the police department, fire department, or any department that is in the town that end up using them, doesn't have to go for them. We have 2 of them. By the time that everyone is up and running on how they should work, they should be very effective as far as it goes. So that was something, you know, down the road, we don't have to worry about budgeting for emergency management. So, and that was just under $4,000 that we got the two, and that's, they do have the radar, stuff that is in them, so the police department can use them for whatever they need, whatever we need for road close. If there's an event at the transfer station, you know, try and take back or whatever, that can be, the signs can be put up there for that once everything is up and running, and stuff like that, so. And that was something that we had 2 days warning. The captain was able to get that accomplished, because we weren't sure if the police department was going to go for, you know, that same $50,000 that was there for the town. Once we found out, we had 2 days left to figure out how to get the paperwork situated and done. As far as the equipment, we have 16 AEDs that are throughout the town, in police cruisers, fire trucks, you know, as far as library, town office. We manage all of those. I have a breakdown if anyone's interested in, you know, or where they are, and, you know, when they need different stuff. We try to budget for a certain amount of batteries, pads, and things like that. Also, we usually budget for one replacement, because usually within, you know, the year, as you go along, one of the units may die. So that's, we try to keep up with that.
Better the unit than the alternative.
Yes, yes it is.
Are we still replacing COVID supplies, or?
I've continued to put it in there, just as far as if we have to get, you know, all of a sudden we're back into, we need to get masks, we need to get stuff. We're required to wear, you know, as far as on the fire EMS side of things, there's still a requirement out there that we wear masks on medical calls, you know, safety glasses and things like that. So I keep that in there as far as to purchase that.
Okay. Other questions or Adam on this? Motion then?
So moved.
Moved, we have a second, moved and seconded. For $42.90, amount of $19,170.
Yes.
No further discussion, those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving on, $41.96 insurance.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you. Do you
Adam,
know
thank you very
when
much.
you would want to see me back, Ms. Farmer?
I would say right now, probably our December 13th meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, so plug us in sometime before that, because we'll want to do.
You're gonna need, Kathy's gonna need the information ahead of time to disseminate it.
Yeah.
So we're not doing the sixth?
Hmm?
We're not doing the sixth?
Mm-hmm.
No, we got other stuff, we got a lot of other stuff coming up on the 6th.
So then we're gonna have one on the 13th, because she just gave us the same.
Yeah, no, we have the 6th and the 13th. Well, I fairly communicate on somebody's part. We will be having a meeting on the 13th as well,
Okay.
because of the,
Are these the dates?
Yep, I gotta add the 13th.
Could I give you a copy?
Thank
it's the only time we're gonna be meeting 2 consecutive weeks, so we'll figure something out to do it. Okay?
Thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot, Adam, I appreciate it. Make sure I have this on my calendar.
I can write this down.
Think you have to go out this way, Adam?
They locked us
Yeah,
out.
that's right.
Okay, 4196
Big camera up
insurance.
there.
Workers' comp went down, good.
Yeah, well, it's a dangerous place to work, but we've been taking care
It's a
of
good motto. Wonders of a good modifier.
it. Property and casualty went up, there's a calculation that you do your paperwork
Yeah,
in Primex.
it's insurance.
It's property values, payroll, et cetera.
Do we, I ask this question every year, but you stay with Primex, don't bid
Well,
up
we,
anybody
you know,
else?
we've examined other alternatives, local and.
This is more
state.
for Ron's benefit than for mine, but I just wanna make sure that people understand that we do.
Yeah, no,
look
we check
Other
other
vendors.
rates from other places.
Okay,
but
that's fine.
Primex, it's their specialty, they do municipalities and government operations, so they tend to run,
Mhm.
well, plus they give us a rebate at the end of the year, the claims are down, so, and every year we've gotten them. And then we had $2,000 for the insurance deductible. We had a problem, I don't know, a couple of years ago, 2, 3 years ago, of departments not putting in insurance claims because it was $500 more than our deductible, and it just started screwing up our books, so it's better to make the claim. There was an accident with one of the fire vehicles, actually, if Adam were here, he could remind us how it worked. But it's just cleaner if the insurance in larger claims is applied for. So the total budget went up primarily or exclusively because of the property and casualty to $80,103.
Do we have this $1,000 deductible, is that what it is?
I'm sorry?
Do we just have $1,000 deductible?
Right.
Yeah. It would be good to probably, I don't know, whether we price this differently and just, unless just.
Yeah, no, we did try 5,000 and
Okay.
even a $10,000 deductible, and the numbers didn't start
Not
to
that big a
change
savings.
that dramatically when
Oh,
you
wow.
start putting even 10 grand in the bank. You know, maybe you're saving 4 grand on your policy, and what's it really costing you?
Right.
So the math didn't work. We'll look at it again. I mean, we didn't look at it this year or last, so maybe we should look at it again, 23.
Yeah, so that's a low deductible for this kind of a policy.
Yeah, a lot of people have much more than this just on their house.
With a deductible?
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
sure, you
Yeah.
know, $2,000 is pretty, gotta be paying a lot for that,
It's not that big a savings.
really.
No, it
Really?
really isn't with
Yeah, I
Primex.
hear you.
Well, no,
I just,
in the private market, there's not that big a savings.
Well, I think
Well,
When I
you
shopped
should
it,
be.
gotta change your broker.
Yeah.
I'm my own broker.
Yeah, we can sell
I
that
didn't want to
shit.
spend all those years working for the end for nothing.
Probably not a good idea.
No, it isn't, but I'm sure it'll come up.
Alright, so should we,
Make a motion to approve 4196 insurance in the amount of $80,103.
For a second.
like a second?
Moved and seconded, further discussion? Those in favor, aye?
Aye.
4414, animal control.
Oh, let me skip. Oh, here it is. Okay, animal control,
An unclaimed animal fee.
yeah. I'm not sure what that's all about. I think the chief of police could explain it better than I can. But, we generally use, or exclusively use New Hampshire's,
Lakes Region,
Lakes Region.
Humane Society.
Yeah,
right? And that is the $1,500 annual charge. The $250 is, for all intents and purposes, a placeholder. So the total budget is down $50 to $1,750. know, it does enable us to use the shelter in Conway if we need to, for whatever, you know, for the ostrich, they won't take it. The regular English shelter.
Any questions? Motion?
Right, I move to approve 4414 animal control in the amount of $1,750.
Second.
Moved and seconded, those in favor, aye?
Aye.
And then the last two hardest ones for the year. Bonds and notes. Do you have a motion on this?
So moved.
Second.
All right, the move, Rob.
Bonds and notes.
Mhm.
Moved for 153,711. Those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. And the last one for this evening is the interest on the fire station note.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded for $19,137. Those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay. And that takes care of our line items for this evening. There's no correspondence for us to talk about. Chip,
Yeah. Right.
the budgets are all done now, I understand?
They are all done,
Okay.
with the exception of the fire, I guess, we're gonna revisit that.
Yeah. But your work, the selectmen's work is done,
Right,
so we can schedule accordingly now?
I'm sorry?
So we can schedule accordingly.
Right,
Okay.
the, personnel and administration I thought had been sent to you, as I mentioned earlier, when Adam was here, that has gone up $90-some thousand, primarily because of new employees. So, we voted on it on Monday, I believe, did we not? We did. And that's a basic explanation of that. The insurance went up $16,000. We also made a start at a change in policy on the health insurance, but that won't take effect until 2023.
A change of policy as far as a change of carrier or a change in?
No, the carrier we look at every year, but no, participation by employees.
Oh, okay.
So, and I, although my two fellow selectmen are here and I love them both, I don't think that discussion's done with yet, because I'm not seeing the money savings that we need to do if we're gonna do it. And I've talked to some of the employees since Monday, and there's not as much resistance to employee participation with the employees that I spoke with that you might imagine, so. I think I'd like to say that there'll be a broader discussion about that as we go forward, but we need to start doing that in December or January so that we can notice the people. I mean, if we're gonna change the insurance character for 2023, we need to let everybody know what's gonna happen, you know, rather than dropping the bomb.
So I hate to put the cart before the horse. You're anticipating a change in participation for 2023 or 2024?
It would be for 2020, I don't think we can do it now for 2023.
Okay, that's fine.
You know, that's,
Just so I know.
yeah.
But you can grandfather new people, you can bring new people on.
Right, and that was the original, or the discussion we had on Monday was primarily about new people. That was how it boiled down.
That was gonna be my question, so this will not apply to current employees,
It could,
or could?
it can, I mean.
Yeah, we
you can
haven't
do anything.
finished the discussion. I
Okay.
mean, my fellow selectmen may think we have, but we haven't.
All right.
Because if you look at it, a family policy would only save the town about $2,300. I see that as a very Pyrrhic victory. I mean, if you're gonna do it, do it. And whether it's setting a maximum total insurance amount that the town is willing to fund, or whether it's setting a participation rate for all employees. So,
So
I
you've started the discussion, that's all we need to know.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
it.
that's fine.
I mean, I just wanted to, you're gonna get hit over the head with a $90,000 increase in that particular budget, and I just wanted to set you up for why that was happening.
Well, it's pretty obvious, it's
So-
all.
So while you guys, while you all consider this, the thing, the one thing, I would not look at purely the economics. I would look at the behavioral and other aspects, the good business aspects of having people participate in their own health planning costs. It makes them make different decisions.
And to that point, when you make a change to the insurance policy in the town, that's a statement to your employees of how you're gonna treat that particular part of their employment. And if all you're getting out of that statement is a $2,300 benefit financially, I think you stirred up a hornet's nest for very little reward. So if we're gonna stir the hornet's nest up and we're gonna make a change, I think there should be a reward on the budget end of things as well as,
Yeah.
buy-in by the employees. I mean,
I'm surprised it's only $2,300. That's the thing I'm
I
surprised.
think
well, it's a
that's more to the
$22,000 house benefit for families. So if you charge them 10%, that's $2,300. I mean,
But you can menu these things, so we have different menus for different
Right, right,
employees.
and we
Yeah,
can
but
talk
I'm not
about
gonna, this is your
deductibles.
job, it's not my job.
We can talk about deductibles,
Yeah.
participation in deductibles. There's a big menu of things that could happen if we're gonna go that route. So, but we've started the discussion, so there we are.
Good.
I don't think we have any warrant articles. The other issue that came before us this week was a public hearing on the Pop Whalen where they want a $250,000 donation from Tuftonboro. I don't think we're of a single mind yet. We haven't finished the discussion in spite of the fact that Jackie Rollins wanted us to vote on Monday on that. There's no give, it's all ask. They want, and there's no relief from the $16,000 a year going to Wolfboro. There's no,
And you're still paying all the
Participation.
other tab, right? You're still paying all the other tab that you have to do the Wolfboro thing, correct?
I'm sorry.
You still have to pay, you still
No,
have
no,
to
then
pay
you pay the
everything.
Wolfboro rate, you still
Right,
pay, you don't
right.
get it for free.
That's what I'm saying.
But they're not gonna relieve us of the $16,000. Jack Widmer,
We cut that in half, I thought.
they didn't offer to do any of that yet.
No, when we did Parks and Rec, that $16,000 line item got cut in half
This year,
this year.
but that was sua sponte, if you will, that's
Mhm.
us doing something without Wolfboro's.
Right.
Yeah, that's got nothing to do with
The
the.
full 16,000 is still in there, but it's just in the divided in half and put in two different lines.
Right.
But Jack Widmer informed us that the Kingswood agreed to put $250,000 into that project.
Yeah, but
And our participation in school tax
that was, you beat me to the punch.
is $37,000. So
Oh,
we've
double
already
dip.
put $37,000 in.
How would they want the 250? All in one?
Yeah, they want a warrant article this year. And that's the other issue that Bob and I and Guy brought up, is that we try to limit our warrant articles to a certain dollar figure with exceptions for the library or exceptions for the fire station, but we try to have a nice even trajectory on this. And $1 million, $1.2 million is about where we're at. So do we not do
The silver.
warrant articles or a capital reserve for fire engines? Do we not do any completion of the fire station, we ever get, or the police station, or do that? Do we not pave as many roads? I mean, we need to look hard at this.
What do you sense would be the reaction from Wolfboro if we don't do this?
I don't know how much more they could do.
Full rate.
Yeah.
Speak to that. Yeah. We have to understand that the Friends of Pop Whalen and the town of Wolfboro are two separate entities. Okay? The Friends are asking for a donation to rehab this building and actually make it bigger, but it will be run and managed by Wolfboro Parks and Rec. So Wolfro, as such, isn't asking us for anything. It's the Friends of Pop Whalen that are asking us for something.
The $2 million is gonna go to Wolfboro.
It will go to them.
Right, they're
But-
asking to be reimbursed $250,000
Yes.
on their construction.
But they're not asking us. The Friends of Pop Whalen have come and asked us.
That's a,
I know it's a matter of semantics, but it's real. Wolfro has not.
okay, and if we follow that logic one step further,
Mhm.
the Pop Whalen people have not offered us anything either.
That's
Other
right,
than thank you.
exactly.
Brewster Academy, which gets a free ride, got a $250,000 donation. They gave a $250,000 donation, but it was for a private locker room and probably some ice time. You know, every other prep school in
The
the
school
Northeast
district,
has their own.
the school district deals the same
Well,
way.
you know what's going on with that, right? So Bruce has put up their own ice rink.
They should.
They have.
Yes, but it's an outdoor rink.
I know, but that is.
They will not play hockey games there.
That's because of COVID.
But you know what, that's a plan for their permanent rink,
Mhm.
and they have got, anyway, that will become a permanent rink someday.
The point of the matter is, and I've expressed this to a number of different occasions, that they went into this project without having all their funding in place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I've said, when I said before the CIP, I said, we didn't pick up a shovel for that library addition until I had the money, till we had the money in the bank to do
I
it.
think there's still debt from the old building outstanding.
I'm trying to address that, I just,
I mean, so do you start a new building?
and how can you
Sell the
go,
mortgage?
how can you go to a school district in the Brewster Academy and a town of Tuftonboro and say, oh, by the way, we're almost done, we need $250,000 out of each one of you,
Right,
without at least having some input into the planning stage?
yeah. Yeah, we need.
I support Abenaki in a lot of different ways, and I always have, but
Well, the
That's what
only
kind of
time,
grades are there?
I'll end the conversation on this, but the only time I've agreed with Max Ledoux was at that public hearing, when he said, you may love the ice rink, write a check. They're asking us to have everybody in town write a check.
Yeah.
Cause it's gonna increase everybody's taxes by a certain amount of money. And it's out of town.
and I wonder how the school district, when it comes as a warrant article for the school district, across 6 towns who will never set foot in that hockey rink,
Right,
are gonna deal with it, so.
yeah.
I see our job as bringing it to the voter, let the voter make the final decision.
Yeah, well, we still have to inform the voter.
Absolutely.
And I think the problem with bringing it as a warrant article from the selectmen is it's gotta have a recorded vote. It can't be 3 no's, because it won't go on the ballot.
Yeah,
So it has to have the support of at least 2 selectmen in order to go on the ballot. So.
we need a
to-
petition,
We need a,
That-
Well, that's another avenue that they're gonna work on.
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, there may be 2 votes, but we haven't gotten to there.
No, I know.
And there may be a way to word it so that you can get 3 votes, but boy, it's gonna take a lot of work.
See, I don't support the
Well-
concept of the money, but I
We'll
support bringing it to
save,
the
we'll
voter.
save this for our warrant article discussion.
Discussion.
Yeah, we don't get to do that though. We don't get to put a warrant article out. We don't get to, DRA doesn't like us to put a question out there. Would you support a new police station if we brought it up next year? And they'll say, no, you can't, what is this? No, you can't ask that question. And our former moderator wouldn't let us have discussion after the general meeting at the town meeting to discuss that stuff. So,
Maybe the new moderator will.
I hope it. Other than that, I think everything's going along pretty well. We've got, quotes coming in on solar, which I'm a lot more interested in for warrant articles. So I think we're gonna have some warrant articles mid-December probably, but I don't know when you guys wanna look at them. All right.
Okay then, our next scheduled meeting is the 6th, December 6th. December 6th, December 13th, and then nothing after the holidays. So we'll have 2 busy meetings. We can start to catch up.
Yeah, I don't think we have too many more projects to look at.
Well, we can.
Personal administration, fire.
Please.
We've had one of the big ones. We need to get that one done, so. Yeah, we got some stuff to do.
We haven't done police, have we?
No,
Right.
So you got enough police?
yeah, we have it.
Okay.
Oh, we will have it.
Yeah.
We don't have it yet.
We will have it for the 6th. That's,
Okay,
Jay and I lay everything out now,
all right.
that everything else is done.
I'll just leave it to Jane's capable hands.
Yeah, well, motion to adjourn then?
So moved.
I'll second.
You're doing 6th and 13th, not the 20th.
Not the 20th.
Have you reached out to the 20th reservation?